Hey, this is for children. You know what the cellular inverse is of an eternal, true God, of pure, absolute love is? A black hole. You know why they generate black holes and how black holes get generated? That's where all their failed technologies end up. One big space, vacuum space, sucking sound. Because they couldn't do it right the first time. You know why? Because their mathematics is flawed. Why is their mathematics flawed? Because they're not experiencing the first mathematician, which is perfect balance, which is full integration, which is experiencing being one with all living cells we're gifting love to. That's pure logic. That means there are no broken circuits, there are no broken arrows, and there is nothing that is collapsing into a black hole because the math works. The original mathematical musician is not experiencing what they experience because the first musician is experiencing perfect balance, which means the mathematics, which is pure logic, works, which is no broken circuits, no broken arrows, no turbulent water. So I was experiencing a little bit ago, and I had to shut the phone off, go outside and do some work on her behalf where she's at. She's an indigo. And so I figure most folks by now understand why we're all here, right? And I could tell by the way she was communicating, much like what I was experiencing when I was a child, is trying to defend yourself against a black hole. And that isn't ever going to work. You're wasting your time and energy. I was reminded of that through a Kanaka Mahole, Lemurian light. Don't waste your energy on these folks. They're living in a black hole. So you know what a black hole is, right? Chasing electrons. They're chasing us for food because they fell in a hole and they can't get out of that hole. As a result of what they did through what? Failed mathematics. That's why they come to us. I know, that's why they hate us. See, and this is one of the reasons, in particular, you got Nassim Haramein. I've been watching him off and on, Nassim Haramein. If I put something up there, particularly if it's Christos, Avatar, mathematics, the AI will not allow others that are following Nassim Haramein to expose it, which means mapping it, because now they're going to map the proper codes. The AI is not going to allow them to map the proper codes because then that means that's one less being that is being held captive by the codes that the AI is running on. That's right. So it's all about mathematics and it's all about mathematical codings, which is what? Architecture. That means the math works, which is full integration, which is experiencing being one with every living cell we're gifting electrons to, which means not holding a one captive, the first electron donor. Yeah. Why would you want to hold the eternal giver of electrons captive? All you got to do is be present in a present moment, which is the breath of aloha, kamalati. So when you're experiencing being one, you're experiencing being present in a present moment, experiencing how beautiful it is to experience breathing eternity. That means that the past is already gone, so you can't do anything about that, and the future's not here yet. So all you ever really had was right now, was a single moment, which is the point of origin. I know. So I've been trying to defend the point of origin since I was 4 years of age. So I was experiencing a lot of what you might describe, using the word in the English convoluted language, of frustration. And this is particularly true over the last week. This morning I woke up and I could feel I've been beat up. I was beat up on the astral, between the lower and the higher astral. And you would understand why that is, because this is what we call the last hurrah. We're not revisiting this stuff again, ever again. So we all know why that is, particularly if you're paying attention to stuff that's coming out through the Voyager materials, right? Because this is a massive effort when you realize what was at stake. Or what I do was the scale. Scale it up, which means you got to do a much larger mathematical log scale graphing distribution of what is really the loss and gain of energy, units of consciousness, units of cellular consciousness that are experiencing being in a black hole. And the acceleration of black hole units of consciousness that are connected to other black hole units of consciousness that are sucking energy out of more and more and more cells. So now you get into the difference of the breathing, the expansion of consciousness, and the compression, which is what I euphemistically call, just to simplify it in base pure math logic, is the vampire chasing the artist, the first electron donor, trying to play catch up. And they're never going to catch up. And if they can't ever recover what they've lost as a result of blowing holes in their own energy field, as a result of what they do to others using nuclear power, and I know who that covers, using nuclear weapons, right? So that this was the last hurrah, which means you have a given space of time to recover what's been lost as a result of what we've done to others, to the use of our energy in which we do that, right? Which are why these are soul contracts and redemption contracts, okay? Because you realize if there's ever going to be a point in time when you realize cosmic level restoration and recovery in the entire universal and galactic template, right? That means this is for all time. Unless you want to go back to the beginning, when time began as a smaller unit of consciousness. Oh, you mean I got to start all over again? After everything that I've gained as a result of everything that I've lost? Very good. You did the math. Recovering the mathematics, which, if you will, you want to call that karma. Energy debts. Because hear how energy debts work between temporary records with the Anunnaki and why they were pissed. Because they know that they can't alter the Cosmina records. That means the one knows the truth. You can't hide from the truth, which is the ultimate truth, which is the eternal truth, which is eternal pure love. So I mentioned to that Indigo in a comment that I put up on our site that when you use the word believe, I believe, when I was a child, If you begin to question what you believe, then you don't know the truth. Because when you're experiencing the eternal truth, you're experiencing eternal love. That means you know the truth, because the light, which is eternal light, will expose all the lies as a result of their flawed mathematics and their flawed science, because we can map read it. And when you're map reading somebody else's math and physics, it means you're map reading the math and physics of their math and physics against what you're running on, which is our template, which is a Christo avatar. So when I lit myself on fire in when was that, Mama? 2016? I forgot now. You know, there isn't any time. There's only what love is. Yeah. And it means they can't lie to us. Right? Because what it means is when you're mated, you're experiencing being one, right? 13th, Mother Art, Christo Sophia, founder races, right? The mathematics and the language of the founder races, the first one, the first volcano, the math doesn't lie. So I'm experiencing the truth of the mathematics because I'm running the right mathematics. So that's why when I was a child, it's like, please do not insult the one, the first mathematician, because that's what they do. So you don't want to get in an argument. Remember how computers, the language of arguments, that's an invalid argument. What it means is that the AI could not compute the founder's language. Why is that? Because AIs are dead light. They're not running on eternal light. They're not running on eternal sound magicians. So they came after the fact. Black holes. Units of consciousness that are blowing holes in their cellular machinery. Now we're into free will, free choice. Right? So you know free will's got to be in play. Otherwise, you're not a free spirit. Born free into the universe. So the way that I describe it, which is really simple, is how am I going to get to know who you are as a girl, right? if you can't get to know who it is that I am, so you can open your flower. Now I can see your flower in bloom, which means you're not a closed loop, which means you're not running a hamster wheel, which means you keep repeating the same past mistakes because you're running a broken record. And a broken record is broken mathematics, which is broken circuits, which is a broken motherboard. So we know who's running a broken muckabird, and they're not recovering their codes, which means they're not recovering the original divine blueprint of that template. Now we're into the Barta point, which is how much time they have to be able to recover all the codes and run the right codes to run the right mathematics. So they're running pure logic, which is pure light, which is eternal absolute love. That's why we're all here. The size and scale of this is actually very massive. And that meant sacrifices. The willingness to suffer beyond anything that you can imagine that people were willing to do on behalf of the one. The first creation. That's the truth of it. There was a girl, I believe, she had a channel called the Harmonic Reactor. She emphasized that once, and she was absolutely right. Sacrifices. See, they sacrifice on behalf of needing energy because they're fallen into a hole. We sacrifice and are willing to suffer because we can rebuild ourselves. Because of the connection that we have to the one. Right? Which means I'm willing to suffer and be exposed to everything that everyone else is experiencing when you're running full capacity sensory, which means everything that is a cell that is experiencing what they're experiencing as a cell is sending that information to us when you go full Cosmina level avatar or Manu Era. You're one with one. You're always with the one. Yeah. So anyway, we love you all. Be good to yourselves. I sent you a mountain of love energy, girl. Nothing but pink. So you should be getting that. Settle it down. Be calm. I know over the last week, particularly over the last few days, has been a real bumpy road. We're getting it done. The servers are moving at a higher rate of speed. We already got this, okay? That's why we're all here, right? This is actually the greatest celebration in the history of the entire universal and galactic template. You all know that. Now we're into what we know and what you believe. Do you believe it's true? Is there any doubt? There was never, ever any doubt when I was a child what I am. I am what love is in living spirit. Wherever you find love and living spirit, you'll find us. Which means we're everywhere simultaneously. Wow. That's right. And that is called your creative quotient. Right? Which means you don't like your creative energy being held captive. Right? The old saying goes, you try and put a block up, right? We'll find a way to be able to do what? Dig a hole underneath it. Fly over it. Go around it. And why is that? It has everything to do with density, doesn't it? Because living light and living spirit that is a creator being does not like its electrons being held captive to create another universe with. It's on fire, which is eternal fire, which is eternal spirit of fire, which is the language of light, which are fire letters. Yeah. Bye now.